Hi YouTube friends, hello, it's Victoria from victoriamakes. Good day to you all. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much, and if you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you're going to enjoy this video. Please give it a like or press subscribe for future videos in the new year and maybe a little over Christmas New Year period. So this week we're going to try and get another Christmas recipe in, and that is a chocolate Yule Log. And I'm taking it out of my favourite Christmas book, which is the Nigella Lawson's Christmas cookery book. This is a really nice recipe. If you used to have Yule Logs as a child and you're reminiscing about sort of old-fashioned, rustic-looking Christmas Yule Logs, this recipe is for you. It's not off a factory conveyor belt or anything. It's going to be nice and rustic. Grab some sort of vintage looking Christmas cake decorations and pop them on if you've got anything like that, and decorate it up, and make it as rustic as you wish. There's lots and lots of images on the Pinterest as well. I used to love making these as a child and like to make one or have one every year because they really are Christmassy, aren't they, Yule Logs? So I hope you'll join me. I'm going to go through the recipe now of Nigella's so that you can sort of pause it and write it down. I'll also put everything in the description box as well so that you've got all the ingredients to hand when you want to make it. So this is what she says. So this one's on page 199. And it's just called Yule Log, and it's out of this book, the Nigella Christmas book, which probably will be available online, hopefully. I have seen them in some thrift charity shops of late on their Christmas displays for about £8 or £10, so the charity shops are selling them around about that price in England. So it says it's a traditional French boule de Noël, of course. Always looks just the right side of cutie enchanting, and there's nothing hard to like about this tender melting chocolateness. But I warm to it most of all for the rich pagan symbolism. It is no less than a cake emulation of the log that the Norsemen would drag home from the streets to burn in celebration of the winter solstice, and to honour the gods and hope thus to cajole them for a very good new year to come. So that's quite good, having that historical relevance, isn't it? I like that. But always too, it's about bringing fire and light to cold and darkness. This too is the gift of the winter kitchen. I know the recipe looked a bit finicky, and I can't promise it's a doddle, but it works easy, and you'll soon find you're rolling chocolate logs without a care. In fact, if you have a lot of people coming round, and you can find a serving dish or a wooden board long enough, double this recipe up and make a nice big one. I might do that. I'm going to just do one recipe, one amount now today, so you can see the size of it, and then you obviously decide on the volume that you will require and double it up or treble it up, whatever you're going to make. So then you'd make 2 cakes if you doubled it up and sitting them end to end to look like they're a really long log. But even if you're making just one log, I advise to use at least a freestanding mixer or handheld electric mixer. I wouldn't contemplate doing this by hand because you've got to whip your egg whites up to a peak, add in your caster sugar, and then again whip them so that they've got lots of air, because this actually hasn't got fat in the sponge. It's a fatless sponge, so it's all about the aeration of it, and that is what helps it actually be able to roll it into a log. Otherwise a normal sponge possibly would break with all the fat content. But now it doesn't look anything like a log when it is just a roulade, but once you spread on the chocolate icing, make approximations of wood markings on it. And Nigella says she uses the sharp end of a corn and the cob holder for this, but obviously you can use the edge of a knife, a fork, you make the swirls on it how you wish. I don't go as far as the French and make sugar mushrooms to adorn it. That sounds really lovely, doesn't it? That could be something to do as well if you've got time. This is not only because I like the talent, but it's also because a light snowfall of icing sugar is all this Yule Log really needs to complete its wintry perfection. So have you got memories of having Yule Logs or making them as children? Let me know. Please leave a comment in the comment box about your memories of Christmas and what you do to celebrate, and if there's anything that you remember from your childhood that you'd love to make. because I think as you get older you really like to hark back to childhood days and recreate things, don't you? I think that's why we really like to sort of do that as we get older. So get the oven on to 180 straight away to preheat it, and then what we've got to do is get all the ingredients to hand. So for the cake you will need, and this is for one cake, which should give you 6 to 12 slices depending on how thick you want it. For the cake you will need 6 eggs, and they need to be separated, 150 grams of caster sugar, 50 grams of cocoa powder. Now you will see that I've got 2 colours of my cocoa powder today. I have got standard cocoa powder and I've got the very, very dark black cocoa powder, and I love mixing it in because you get a very nice rich colour. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and 3 to 5 teaspoons of icing sugar at the end to decorate. And for the icing you will need 175 grams of dark chocolate chopped. This can be cheap chocolate, you don't need to have anything, you know, premium or anything, just your favourite chocolate. 250 grams of icing sugar, sift that out as well. 225 grams of soft butter and 1 15mm tablespoon of vanilla extract to give it that nice rich vanilla taste, and that's all you need for this Yule log, and then your own creativity to decorate it at the end. So let's get making it. I hope you're going to enjoy it. You can also make this up about a week ahead and store it in an airtight container in a cool place, or you can freeze this, which is great, in a rigid container for up to 3 months, thawing overnight in a cool room and store in an airtight container afterwards. So, you know, get it done ahead of time if you so wish to get organised. I'm doing it now, it's about a week before Christmas. I've got guests coming round, you know, in different times over Christmas, so it'll probably get eaten. So I'm going to do this recipe now for you. Okay, so let's get started. Right then, so as we said, we've got 6 eggs and we need to separate those. So what you want to do is get 2 bowls. I don't want the whites. In fact, actually, I'll do this straight into my Kenwood mixing bowl, the white. So that's what I'm going to mix it in. So straight the egg white in here. Egg yolk in there. So I hope you're getting all ready for Christmas, and I hope you're going to have a lovely time. I hope you'll get to see family and friends as well. And I hope you're not on your own for Christmas. My thoughts go out to all the people who are in despair and without homes this Christmas, having hardship around the world. We must count our blessings and help in any way we can. So we've had a nice couple of days because we've been to a Christmas market about an hour away in a large city, and it was really lovely. Had all massive big huts and food and beautiful crafts by artisans. So it was really nice to buy a few little bits, you know, from small businesses and support them. Just a few little items, which was really nice. Really appreciated as well people, you know, if you've got small businesses. I have my own business in the past and it is very difficult. Right, so that's all the egg whites in a bowl. I'm going to mix that up now on the food mixer until it is thick and peaking, and then still whisking. I'm going to have 1/3 of the sugar, adding it to it, and keep whisking it still further until the whites hold their peaks, so not dry. Then in another bowl I'm going to whisk the egg yolks and the remaining caster sugar until that is like moussey, pale and thick, and I'll show you both of those when they're done, what the consistency looks like. Right, so what we've done now is, like we said, we've whisked up all the egg whites and still they're lovely and got lots of peaks to them. Okay, and then the egg yolks and the remaining cast sugar we've whipped up until it's moussey, pale and thick. So if you can see the consistency, it does pour, but it's very thick now, like a very thick custard. Lots of air in it and lots of air bubbles. That's what you want to do, because you're trying to create a lot of air. So now what you need to do is add the vanilla extract, which was a tablespoon, and sieve the cocoa powder over and then fold both of those in. So always get the best vanilla you can afford. Extract is far better than the essence. You want a teaspoon of vanilla extract in this part of the recipe, and we're going to put it in the egg yolk, and then we'll put both of the cocoa powders in. So that's what I was saying, this is the dark, very, very dark black one, which we use for Oreo biscuits, etc., and very dark cakes. And this is your standard nice cocoa powder. So I'll pop all that into the sieve. Just sieve it through, which will incorporate it and get any of the lumps out. You don't want to spend a long time beating everything up and then putting heavy stuff in and then losing out all the air, so make it nice and fine this way again. And then sieve the cocoa powder over and fold both in. The folding is just literally going in a very wide figure of 8 shape, because what you don't want is to lose all that lovely air you've incorporated. Remember, there's no flour, it's just going to be eggs that's going to create that air in this mixture. So you need to really be careful how you fold it, as less as possible really. And to be honest, I don't really mind if it's streaky, because how I look at it is you're making a log, aren't you? You know what I mean? And logs are not just one uniform colour, are they? It's probably better if you do make it a little bit streaky. Plus it's going to be wrapped up. Just having a cappuccino, so hopefully you can grab a nice coffee or tea or water while you're watching along. So the next thing to do now is to lighten it with a couple of dollops of this egg yolk first. Folding them in and just put robustly, so to make sure you've got all that lovely powder and flavouring. Then add the remaining whites in thirds, folding them carefully now to avoid losing any air. About a third in at a time. And we're just literally going in a figure of 8. It's difficult because you don't want to lose the air, but it's got to also get incorporated in. Another third. Try and do it also in a cool kitchen, so you know it's not warm for the eggs, otherwise they do kind of melt back down a bit. I've found in some, if you do things that with just these whipped egg whites. Don't wish to touch it anymore because I don't want to lose any more air. Right, so when we've done that, you've lined the Swiss roll tin, and what I've done, I've used baking parchment. So I've put my baking parchment into my Swiss roll tin. Now this really is a baking sheet because I haven't got a baking Swiss roll tin. So I'm kind of hoping it will work alright. I've used it before, so the mixture doesn't go really high. And because I'm doing a very big one, it should be about right. And I've put a tiny little bit of spray on it. Okay, so line that, a little bit up at the sides. Okay, and we need to pour the baking mixture into the cake tin and bake for 20 minutes. Incidentally, I didn't see the size of the tin in Nigella's recipe, but a Swiss roll tin, I believe, comes in a certain size. So if you buy a Swiss roll tin, it should be fine. Just pour it all out. And it's settling itself by the looks of it. And then we're going to put it in the oven and we're going to bake it for 20 minutes at gas mark for 180. Right, so the next part, in the last 5 minutes of the Swiss roll cooking in the oven, we start to make the chocolate icing. So what I've done is I've put my plain chocolate in a bowl. I'm going to put that over a pan of simmering water so it melts until it's all smooth and all melted. And then I shall set it aside to let it cool. So I've got the icing sugar now. I'm going to sieve that over the mixing bowl, getting all the lumps out. In the recipe from Nigella, it does say to bliss it in a food processor, but it's not necessary. It's nice and fine. And then what we do is mix in the butter to incorporate it. It's a bit like a buttercream. You're adding melted chocolate as well. Also, it will thin it down with the vanilla extract as well. Make it taste really lovely. In the past, I've put a bit of Bailey's Irish cream in as well, which makes it really nice and festive. Or you could put a dash of brandy in instead of the vanilla essence, or a liqueur of your choice, of course. Cointreau's very nice as well with the chocolate. So, but otherwise, if you don't want the alcohol, the vanilla essence is lovely. Right, so this is where you have a tablespoon of the vanilla essence. I'm going to pop that in as well. It's going to taste delicious. Oh, I smell the vanilla now, it smells lovely. Wish you could smell it. Vanilla essence. This is your Swiss roll just out of the oven. And if you push it, it springs back. Let it cool on the side now for a few minutes, and then we'll take it out of the pan and put it on a flat surface to cool a bit further for a few more minutes. So our chocolate is melted, so we need to pour it in to the mixed icing sugar and butter and vanilla icing and incorporate it. Make sure it's cooled before you do it, otherwise you'll melt all the butter and it'll just be a runny mess. Right, so as I said, pour the chocolate in and we'll incorporate it all in. Right, so that's the lovely buttercream all mixed in now. So we'll put that to one side and we're going to work on the sponge cake now. When I'm baking, I always leave a nice bowl of hot soapy water so I can keep putting all the pots to wash in the bowl while I'm working. Right, so what we've got to do now is sit the flat chocolate cake on a large piece of baking parchment, trimming the edges, and spread some of the icing thinly over the sponge, going right out to the edges, and then we're going to start rolling it up. Start rolling from the long side facing you, taking care to get a tight roll from the beginning and roll up to the other side, pressing against the parchment rather than the tender cake. This makes it easier. So let's get on with that. Make sure you spread your icing very thinly on the cake, right to the very edges. Try not to drag it because you don't want to break the cake. It is quite a tender cake. And when you've covered it, just take quite a bit off because obviously you want some for decorating, don't you? So that's kind of what I've got left for the outside. Not a lot, is there? And then what we're going to have to do now is roll it, and this is the fun part. You start rolling from the long side facing you, which is that way, and take care to get a tight roll from the beginning. I've got it on some more a baking sheet underneath, but the one that it's baked on might actually start sticking, so I'll be very careful here. I'd love to be able to get it off this first without breaking it. So this bit is very, very tricky. If it cracks, then it's going to be covered up anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get this new bit of baking parchment under it so that I've got a nice strong side to start with, and then hopefully we can get it peeled. So what you I hope you can see this. Let me bring the camera up a bit over. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this side up here, and I'm going to very, very tightly try and get that straight away folded in and over itself. See how it's sort of falling and slipping, but that's alright. Just see how it's like rolling over, and the first bit, that's the main bit, to get it sort of even if you can. Okay, keep checking it that it's all coming away from the paper as you go along. It's going to get a bit easier as you go along. Fold that back under again. If this helps to pull it as you go. Right, straight over again, and then carefully pull it back again, holding it the original paper away. And I did put a tiniest little bit of spray on this when I put it in the oven, didn't I? And I think that helps. Don't worry if it looks a little bit messy, because you're going to cover it and decorate it anyway. So just carefully easing it back. Let it come away from itself on the paper. Fold that piece back again. Keep folding it so it's nice and thick for you, to give you something to pull on and grip. Rolling on again. Again, carefully just pulling that in, easing it away. Just take your time, there's no rush. If you rush, it's going to fall and chip, crack and be messy. Straight over again now, and this is your last bit really, so it's on its side. Just take your time rolling it back over. Nearly there. Every little bit is crucial. Right, now you've got your long Swiss roll. Right guys, so you've got our long Swiss roll now, and what you want is something about as long as it to put it on. So with this Swiss roll, you need one very long board, and you need it again lining with greaseproof paper. And then you need to get that on there. So let's roll it back on the side. 1, 2, 3. Straight on the board. How to do it now? So we've got a nice long piece, little bit uneven. That's fine, because Nigella says to cut it and put a bit of it at an angle so it looks a bit like a tree trunk or something coming out. So that's good, because this bit here, I reckon, would be lovely as a side bit. So just have a little play with it. We could do it in 2 halves, I think, couldn't we? So we could have a little bit of a fork there, for example. Oh, that looks quite nice, isn't it? So you've got, I'll show you from this side. Take that away a minute. It's a bit more like a tree shape. This one is what it'll look like when it's cut. So I'm quite pleased with that. So let's see if it would work. I'll probably just cut that end bit off, leave it like that, and then probably put that on the end there, because as I say, this, if it's a tree trunk, squash it all together. Lovely. So that's the actual shape we've got. And what I'm going to do, because it's over a week. This one I say I'm going to make a couple of these so that I can actually get them out of the freezer when I get guests coming the day before, let it defrost nicely. So Nigella did say cut one or both ends at a gentle angle, reserving the remnants, and place the Swiss roll on a board or a long dish. The remnants, along with the trimmed off bits earlier, are to make a branch or two. You get the effect by placing a piece of cake at an angle to look like a branch coming off the log, which we've done here. Spread the Yule log with the remaining icing, covering the cut off ends as well as any branches. Create a wood-like texture by marking along the length of the log with a skewer or some such, remembering to do wobbly circles as in the tree rings on each end. You don't have to dust with ice and sugar now, but it does look nice later on. The thing with this is you've got to be very careful because we've got a big log, so we need to make sure we've got enough to spread, and it'll be quite difficult to spread it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look what I've got, literally try and work out how far it'll go. It might be that I need to use a warm spatula for this to melt the chocolate off a bit as we're spreading, but we'll see how we go. This is giving me Christmas vibes now, this, guys. Really taking me back to the 80s. And the chocolate log has been going for absolute years, isn't it? So I wonder when the first chocolate log was made and who by. If you've got very old cookery books with it in, let me know in the comments. I'd be really interested to know. Right, what I'm going to do is get some hot water, because I think this is kind of setting a bit. I'll heat my knife up so I can get this spreaded. It really is getting quite thick now, you see. So you don't want to be doing this too long before you need it. Right, so this is the chocolate log. We've actually, with a fork, just all decorated it. I'm going to put it on the board now and show it you all decorated up for Christmas. I hope you're going to enjoy this. You don't have to dust it with ice and sugar, but it looks like freshly fallen snow, and it looks lovely. Put it on the board, decorated, and then I'm going to freeze it for up to 3 months. Take it out 24 hours beforehand to defrost. I hope you'll really enjoy it. It'll taste lovely. I can really recommend it. Right, so here's the chocolate log all finished, guys. I hope you can see it. It's a little bit dark day today, so again, apologies. It's come out really nice. It's just drying off now because I used that warm knife to move all the chocolate around, and I've put a few little twee vintage Christmas decorations on. Hope you'll try it. And I just want to say thank you so much for your support, and thank you for watching my YouTube channel this year. Hope you will subscribe and be here next year in 2024. Have a very Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a lovely time. Take care, good health to you all, and I shall see you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Christmas.